So I was looking at the 6 minutes for safety for today, and it's on contagious diseases. When I first saw it, I kind of laughed until I clicked on it, and then I remembered how important this particular safety topic is. I remember the first time I was out in a fire camp out west, and they were talking about camp crud, and I'd never heard that term before, and saw the safety officer going around putting bleach in all of the coolers, and then it didn't take me very long to figure out what camp crud is. If you get a cold or the flu or even a stomach bug that starts kind of going around all the firefighters within that camp, it's pretty easy to get spread around. Folks are digging in coolers, grabbing Gatorades and waters, and folks are going up to the dining hall and everyone's touching the same railing. And so it is very easy, especially when you have a lot of firefighters in one camp. It's very easy for that camp crud to go around. And I remember talking about things of good hand washing and hygiene and all those things. But one of the things I remember is, especially as a shot crew, that we would isolate ourselves, that we would actually opt to either camp out on the fire line to spike out, or if we could move ourselves to a different part of the fire camp to stay away from others that had the camp crud, trying to keep it from getting into our crews and, of course, spreading it even more. And so thinking about that, I was reminded of one of my favorite sermons to preach in the Bible. Now, obviously, I've got many, but I would say this is towards the top of the favorite sermons that I have. And this is the incident where Jesus comes in contact with the leper. I like preaching this message out of Luke's account. So here in Luke chapter number 5, beginning of verse number 12, here's what the Bible says. And it came to pass when he was in a certain city, and behold, a man full of leprosy, who seeing Jesus fell at his face and besought him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. And he put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be thou clean. And immediately the leprosy departed from him, and he charged him to tell no man, but go and show thyself to the priest, and offer for thy cleansing, according as Moses commanded, for a testimony unto them. But so much the more, when there went a fame abroad of him, a great multitude came together to hear, and to be healed by him of their infirmities. This is an interesting story. Jesus is traveling. He's on the move. He's been healing and teaching, and he comes to a man that is full of leprosy. It's interesting. The Bible says that about this man. Verse number 12, Luke chapter 5, it says, a man full of leprosy. So the man didn't have just a little bit of leprosy or had a few spots on him, but he was full of it. We know that studying the Levitical law in the Bible, Leviticus chapter 13, it tells us that if you had some type of skin ailment, then you would have to go to the Jewish priest and be examined. And depending on the shape, the size, the color of these open sores on your body, the priest would deem you unclean. And so, again, according to Levitical law, you would then have to separate or isolate yourself from your family, from your friends, and from the community. We know that, again, studying this, that they would have leper communities outside of cities because they were considered contagious. And so they would have to isolate themselves according to Levitical law. I can only imagine what this man felt, what was in his mind, what was going through. Not only was he going through physical pain, but emotional pain, being separated from his family and his friends and the rest of society, and then having to announce verbally. Anytime someone came around, he would have to announce, unclean, unclean. Again, that was part of the Levitical law. So this man then sees Jesus coming by, and he knows that Jesus is the only one that can help him. And the Bible says that he begged him. The end of verse number 12. He begged him, and then he says this: "If thou will, thou canst make me clean." And so this man asks for the impossible, and that's for his sins to be taken away, that only Jesus could do. So maybe today that's what you need to ask Jesus, is something impossible, something only Jesus can do, and that's take away your sin. The rest of the world's not going to touch you because you're unclean. But Jesus made him to be sin for us, who knew no sin, that we might be the righteousness of God in him. Only Jesus can heal you from your dirty sin. All you have to do is ask him. And if you ask him to cleanse you, the Bible says in verse number 13 that he put forth his hand, touched the man, saying, "I will, be thou clean." You ask him to cleanse you today of sin, and he'll do that.